Hi folks, this is Kim from Fit to Drive here, and I've got a short video today about potential hazards in side streets. So we're going for a drive in a moment, and as we're driving, I'm going to point out some of the things to watch out for in side streets where the speed limit is 50. This is relatively quiet at the moment because it's on a Sunday morning, but quite often there are cars parked on both sides of the street. There could be potential hazards there. So if you are driving down a side street, you are allowing about a metre and a bit, so 1.5 metres, just under 1.5 metres when passing stationary parked cars, because people sometimes do open their doors without looking, and you want to make sure that when you do pass a parked car, that if you do, you're passing it with sufficient distance to allow someone to open the door without you actually cleaning their door off. Okay, so we're going for a drive. I'm driving a manual car today. As many of you know, I'll be sitting my driving instructor's test again very shortly. This will be the second time that I've done it. In South Australia, the mutual recognition condition is, as a driving instructor that's taught in New South Wales and also Victoria, I will actually have to sit my entire test again and do it in a manual car. That's a story for another day. So I'm going to do a leaving the curb manoeuvre at the moment. Indicator on. I'll do it according to the South Australian rule books, the training, competency-based training and assessment. So I put my indicator on, the clutch to the floor in the manual. I've got my handbrake on. I've checked that my handbrake is on, putting it into first gear, looking all around, releasing the handbrake. It's been on for 5 seconds, so I'm moving smoothly away from the curb. Okay, so some of the things that you could watch out for in a side street like this: obviously pedestrians crossing the road, cars reversing out of driveways. You want to be a little bit careful about that. The driveway may be blocked by a tree or a stovey pole or something like that. As you can see, he's in a little bit of a hurry. Now we're coming up to an intersection here. Even though there are give way signs on both sides, I tend to slow down and look both ways. I've had people just fail to give way and cut out straight in front of me, forcing me to stop in the middle of the road. So we've got another intersection coming up here. Again, making use of your centre mirror. Your assessor, doesn't matter where you take your test, your assessor wants to make sure that you know what's behind your car, and to also a lesser extent, looking in your left and right mirrors. So I've indicated, but before I've indicated, I've checked my centre mirror, put my indicator on. I'm coming up a little bit further here. It's clear to go. As I'm turning around, I'm finishing on the left-hand side of the road. Now, one of the things that they look for you to do here, and also that will benefit you when cornering, and I will do a left-hand turn. I think I've got one here. So check my centre mirror, put my indicator on. Now, in a manual car, I am slowing right down, so I actually have a view of the street before I go in. And as you can see, I'm still a little bit rusty, so I dropped it back into first gear then, because I was already in second. So let's do that again. I'm going to do another left-hand turn here. Check my centre mirror. Now I'm coming right up. I don't need to change down. And I'm in a dead-end street, so that's going to give me the opportunity to do one of the manoeuvres that you'll be required to do. So I've brought the car to a stop. I'm within 300 millimeters of the curb, and I'm going to do a 3-point turn here. In your VORT test, you'll be required to do a 3-point turn, a U-turn. You'll be required to do a reverse parallel park, a park into a 90-degree parking area. That means between two white lines, and I think that's 5. Yeah, well, I'll remember the other one in a minute if I've forgotten it now. So we're going to do a 3-point turn. Unlike Victoria, folks, I cannot use a driveway. If I'm doing a driving test here, I cannot use a driveway in my driving test to do a 3-point turn. So I've indicated, I've made sure that it's clear. This is quite a narrow little street here, so going around, Now I want to stop about a metre from the curb, and just before I've stopped, what I've done is I've turned the wheel back around to the left. So putting it into reverse, handbrake is on so I don't roll forward, looking all around, releasing the handbrake, and as I'm reversing back, just before I touch the gutter behind me, I brought the wheel all the way around, well, not quite, to the right. Now I actually touched the gutter there. In a driving test, you are not meant to fail if you touch the gutter, but the idea is don't touch the gutter. So I've indicated right. Again, I put my handbrake on, I've looked all around, and I'm moving away. And you can probably, and we're going to do a right-hand turn here, so check my center mirror, indicate right, and as you can see, I've finished correctly on the left-hand side of the road. So on a road with no lanes marked, we drive to the left. Now, I'm going to get up to third gear here, just for the sake of this exercise. Check my center mirror, indicate left, and I've had a view of the street before I've turned off onto the road. So to do a proper turn in a manual car, and I've only been driving a manual now for about 8 weeks, it's called view before gear. Okay, so the idea is we slow right down, we have a view of the actual road we're turning left or right into before you change gears. Okay, so in South Australia, this is actually a 25 area permanently if any children are around at any stage. At other times, as you can see with the sign coming up, it's a 50 area. The zigzag white lines, and I've looked left and right as I've gone through that intersection, the zigzag white lines that we've just passed that you see on the road, more of these in South Australia than in Victoria, they mean that you're coming up to a crossing. That was actually a school area there. It was also a permanent 25 area, meaning if there are children around at any time of the day, on any day, you must slow down to 25. So I'm just going to do a return to the curb, indicate, check my blind spot, come in smoothly. Again, in the manual, I've come to a stop. I've put the handbrake on, I've put the car into neutral, I've released the clutch pedal, made sure that I'm not rolling, I've cancelled my indicator. Okay, so just going over a few more things going down narrow side streets. If you're going down a road that there are cars parked on both sides and you see another driver coming towards you, what I like to do is to give way first, okay? I don't have to second guess the other driver. What I've also found is it's nice to, acknowledge if someone moves across for you by a simple hand gesture. Courtesy costs nothing, okay? Also, the other reason that I like to move across first in a narrow street, meaning if I can move to the left and give way to another car coming in the opposite direction on a narrow street, I don't have to second guess what the other driver may or may not do. Most people are pretty good on the roads, folks, but just remember you've always got those that they're irresponsible drivers and they don't care. Okay, so one of the other things that we tend to look for in driving down side streets that have got stationary vehicles, they might have their brake lights on, so be aware that if you're coming up to a car in a side street that's got its brake lights on, it may decide to move out in front of you. Some cars will indicate, unfortunately some cars will not, and that's one of my pet peeves, which is people that indicate without moving across, don't indicate and then move straight out in front of you. Okay, please remember when you move away from the curb, it's 5 seconds on the indicator and a right hand blind spot check, which I'm going to do before you actually leave the curb. Watch out for pedestrians and cyclists. If you're passing a cyclist and you're at 60 kilometers an hour, you must allow at least 1.5 meters. If you are down a narrow side street, or even a wide side street, okay, never swerve to avoid hitting an animal. You may find that a cat or a dog will dart out in front of you. If you can slow down to stop, obviously that's the best thing to do, but never ever swerve. You could end up going across into the path of an oncoming car, going into someone's lounge room, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go for a little drive now. I'm actually going to get my Sunday morning paper. So indicate first, clutch to the floor, into first gear, and you'll have to excuse me if you do hear any grinding of the gears. I hope that I won't be doing this in my my driving test. Okay, so it's 5 seconds. I've had a good look all the way around, and what I've just done there is I've actually put it into third gear. So again, I'm a little bit rusty on a manual. Now I don't have the best view here because I've got cars that are parked on my right, so I'm just going to go out a little bit further. And I didn't have any sort of view there at all, and a car came up from behind me very quickly. Unfortunately, sometimes these things happen. So we're going to do a lane change now. So again, it's not particularly busy. My right hand lane is clear, so I'm going to check my center mirror, put my right hand indicator on, do my right hand blind spot check, which means turning my chin around to my shoulder and looking out, and I'm going to turn into the service station. So I've merged across. As you can see, there's oncoming traffic here, so I've slowed right down just using the accelerator, and I'll change into first gear round about here. So this is taking a safe gap where there's oncoming traffic. Sometimes it gets really, really busy. This is Brighton Road, and as you can see, I've got a nice clear view, so I'm going to turn right, gone straight into the street nice and smoothly, indicate right again, and I'm going to turn into the service station. Okay, so despite my little grind of the gears and so forth, I hope that you've enjoyed watching this short video. I'll be making some more videos a little bit later on about the various test maneuvers. Okay, so just to reiterate, always be scanning. Another thing that's really important is not only to pass your driving test, it's to stay safe. Scanning means you're making regular use of your mirrors, your center mirror, and to a lesser extent your left and right mirrors. Okay, what else? Just remember, if a bus is parked on the left side of the road and the bus is indicating right, be careful, slow down. Remember that buses have the right of way to pull out in front of you. Allow them to move in front of you if it's practical. Okay. Few other things. Again, we've covered cars reversing out of driveways. Just to reiterate, most drivers are cautious and look back while moving back out of a driveway. Some are not, and again, in those narrow side streets, I've been forced to stop the car in the middle of the street because someone has reversed straight back out in front of me. Again, one of the other reasons that, you know, when you're going down side streets or on main roads, scanning means that you're looking to the side of the road, not just ahead. You're looking to the road surface. There could be road signs, there could be debris, there could be potholes. So low risk driving means that you're always aware of what's going on around your vehicle. And lastly, the number one most important skill that will help you make you a better, safer driver. Remember, stay focused on what you're doing, which is driving. Ignore the distractions in your car. When you're driving, you're driving. You're not touching your mobile phone, and indeed, if you're on your Ps in most states, you cannot use a mobile phone in any shape or form. If it's got a SIM card in it, it's basically classified as a phone, so you can't use it as a GPS. Okay. Take care. Thanks for reading. The transcript is down below, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. Stay tuned for some more videos. This is Kim from Fit to Drive. Enjoy your long weekend.